Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, I listened to Fair Territory this morning, and you gave us like a little taste of your article about managers that could be on the hot seat this season. We're going to dive into a few of those, if we may. And I want to start with the St. Louis Cardinals, because if AJ didn't read your article, I think he might be surprised to hear about your plan for what could happen, or your theory for what could happen with the Cardinals if Ollie Marmol ends up losing his job. So I'll cue you up on this one, Ken. Do you think that Marmol could actually stay with the organization if Skip Schumacher took over?
I do. And obviously it would be an unusual situation, and he might not want to stay, but he and Schumacher are close. And if you remember, Schumacher was on his staff in 2021, his first staff. So if they make a change, and I'm assuming they will, obviously if they have a great year, things might change, but they're going to have a new head of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. He's going to take over for John Mozeliak, and generally speaking, a new head of baseball operations wants his own person in there. What's also interesting about the Cardinals is you've got two former Cardinals greats, and I mean greats, future Hall of Famers, who want to manage in the big leagues. I'm talking about Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols. I don't know how you choose between them, if you choose between them. So from that perspective, maybe Skip Schumacher is kind of a compromise candidate, even though he's not an all-time Cardinal great. He was a Cardinal. He was on their coaching staff. And certainly, as a former National League Manager of the Year, he is someone who will have great appeal to any team making a change going forward.
You forgot about another Cardinal great you should throw on that list that Chaim should call, Ken.
I did forget that one, yeah. The one I'm talking to.
Yeah, me. Yeah, me.
I know
Call me,
who
Chaim.
I'm talking about.
Call me, Chaim. We'll talk. Ollie would definitely stay on my staff because we went to the same high school, Ken. I don't know if you knew that or not. But I don't know that. I mean, listen, I think Ollie would stay. I know that. I do, because he's been a Cardinal like his whole life, right? It's kind of like Schilt. It's like Brian Snitker. Like, there's certain guys until Schilt got the job and then they fired him, and then he obviously left and went on to bigger and better things with San Diego. But I just think Ollie doesn't know anything else. And there's certain people that are just meant to look at Descalso coming back, right? John Jay coming back. I think Ollie Marmol would seriously think about, I don't know if he would be on, if it was Schumacher's staff, but I think he would definitely probably stay in the organization in some capacity if they wanted him to.
It's an interesting question. And again, it's hypothetical, as these discussions always are. Who knows which way the season might turn? Who knows what Chaim Bloom might have in mind? He might have somebody else that we're not even talking about in mind to be the next manager. Maybe he wants Ollie Marmol to be his next manager. I don't know.
Pittsburgh and Colorado.
They're two teams that operate a little bit differently. I'll put that as politely as I can. Colorado in particular, they seem to be in their own parallel universe to the rest of the sport. Bill Schmidt took over just a couple of years ago. I don't expect that he would be in trouble. And Bud Black, as I wrote, is one of the most respected people in the game. And everybody likes him there. No one wants to embarrass him or anything like that. But it's fair to ask whether it's time for a new voice, a fresher voice for those younger players that they're kind of bringing into the mix here. And I mentioned the third base coach, Warren Schaefer, who managed some of these guys in the minor leagues and certainly would be that kind of profile. He would be a Rocky internal hire. They love that kind of thing there. They don't like to go outside, heaven forbid. So that's one thought. Pittsburgh is a little bit more complicated, in my view. The owner, Bob Nutting, has said that he expects better results. He said that before last season. He said it before this season. It's the 6th year for the general manager, Ben Cherington, and the manager, Derek Shelton. They're not getting better results. Now, the number one reason for that, in my opinion, is the owner and his unwillingness to fund the team the way he should, major league payroll. But at the same time, if he is expecting results and quote unquote demanding results, and they're not being produced that way, then it stands to reason he could make a change. Maybe it's just Cherington, maybe it's just Shelton. More likely it would be the manager before the general manager. But it's hard to predict what Bob Nutting might do. And it's hard to even really get a gauge on where they are when the general manager isn't really allowed to operate the way other general managers are. And the manager is working for a GM who is under restrictions and an ownership that doesn't let the team be the way it should. That is what makes it difficult to judge.
Okay, enough about the bad teams, Ken. I want to know, and I'm going to have a follow-up for you. Who's the best team in baseball right now?
I was watching San Diego last night, and they look pretty good. They've yet to lose at home, and I'm surprised a little bit by them because obviously they didn't have a very active offseason. They still have great players, of course. Tatis is playing out of his mind right now. But they have pitched extremely well. The back end of their bullpen's really good. So if I had to choose, maybe it's recency bias because I watched them come back on the Cubs last night, but I'll go with the Padres.
Okay, and then how do you judge that? Because we have this argument all the time with Scott, like run differential, your eyes, player-wise. How do you, Ken Rosenthal, judge, in your opinion, who you think is the best team in, let's say, your power rankings right now? Because I need help with my power rankings.
Well, it's not run differential, and I heard your discussion about this. This early in the season, especially, run differential is essentially meaningless. The Cubs won by 16 the other day. The Rays won by 14 or 15 yesterday. That skews run differential. It makes it impossible to judge at this point in the season by that, if at any point in the season. I kind of judge it by, obviously, a team's performance, record, and look at kind of how they're playing. Some teams are not producing a great record yet, but you know they're better than they are. I think Boston is better than they've shown, right? But in sheer performance, you have to look at the Padres. You have to look at the Giants, the way they're playing. And those teams right now do look like the best teams in baseball, and I'm not sure really there's anyone close. The Dodgers obviously started really well, went through a slide, and now after last night, perhaps they rally again. They're going to be really good. We all know that. But right now, the best team in baseball, especially at Petco Park, where they're undefeated, that's San Diego.
Okay, and then last thing, who did you pick to win the American League?
Who did I pick? I picked the Texas Rangers, who have not hit a lick.
Okay, so I picked the Red Sox. They're doomed. I picked the Braves. You picked the Braves, so I know they're doomed. Can we change our picks?
AJ, we can do whatever we want. It's a free country.
This is America, Jack.
I just tend to forget my picks and
Yes.
hope no one is embarrassing me at the end of the year. But that's the reality.
I was going to say, Ken chooses to maybe, you forget about him. I know that's not your favorite thing, predictions, Ken. So let me get back to some business and some news here. More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video. FT fam, you got to check out HelloFresh. I know AJ's favorite part of HelloFresh. They've got the 15-minute meals, 3 steps, and you've got your dinner.
I love it. It comes fresh to your house. Mm-hmm. It's pre-packaged with all the ingredients in almost a brown bag. Comes with all the instructions. And what I like most about it is some people say, I don't like to cook. I like to actually chop the ingredients, cook them up. That way it makes it feel like, even though it was prepackaged, you feel like you're doing something. And it's so fresh. Fresh vegetables, fresh meat, high quality. Comes with all the sauces, comes with all the spices you need.
Yes, and if you're like, hey, you guys talk about Green Chef. That's right. They're in the same fam. Both bring different strengths to the table. So check out HelloFresh, of course, and get yourself up to 10 free meals and a free high protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/FT10FM. 1 item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only, varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM. And now back to the video. But fact or fiction, Ken, you hate predicting.
Well, that's fact.
That's all. People want to know Ken. Ken does not.
And the reason is, Scott, you know what I always say? I repeat this all the time. Tell me who's going to get hurt. Tell me who's going to get traded, and I'll do a much better job predicting. But you can't tell me those things. I don't know what's going to happen. No one does. And that's the beauty of the game. So we all have fun with predictions, of course, but I don't ever pretend mine are any better than anybody else's.
And don't worry,
He's
fans.
supposed to tell us who's getting traded, though. He's the insider.
True. Well,
he makes baseball come alive.
Well, true. Well, then let's ask him about that. Do you think that Sandy Alcántara could be the first guy traded here, or I know Will Salmon wrote about this in The Athletic in the past 24 hours. Or do you think the Marlins are going to let this one simmer for a little bit?
Good question. The difference, as Will wrote, between Alcántara and some of the other players they've traded in recent years, Arias most notably, is that he has more years of control left. So they might be hesitant to move him and thinking, well, we can keep him as long as we possibly can, drive the price up, we have the years of control, so we don't have to do anything. We all know the Marlins are going to do this. I don't think there's any secret about that. It's just a matter of when. Could he be the first one traded? Yes, but I also believe teams are going to want to see more. They're going to want to see him keep pitching. He's coming off Tommy John surgery, of course, and they don't want to base this off a handful of, 6, 7 starts, whatever the case might be. There needs to be more of a body of work for teams to be convinced that he's back to where he was. He's looked good so far, but a little inconsistent. So I expect him to be traded. I just don't know that it'll be that early.
I want to check in a little bit on a lot of the things that happened in the offseason. That we had all the free agent signs, all the trades and stuff. In my opinion, and I want to get your take on this, Kyle Tucker going to the Cubs was one of the best moves at the time, and I think it's played out that way to maybe be the most valuable moving player. Would you agree with that sentiment, or is there another maybe signing that you think has worked out even better for another team?
Actually, Trevor, that trade looks like it's great for both. And Kyle Tucker has transformed the Cubs. And as I mentioned, I was watching that game last night. I don't remember if it was Boog Sciambi or Rick Sutcliffe who said it, but what they said was they knew the Cubs offense would be better with Tucker. How can it not be? But the transformation has been kind of astounding. They're leading the National League in runs scored. He's a big part of that. He's playing at an MVP level. So are a lot of other guys in the National League right now, Tatis, a few others, but he has been monumental to that team thus far. Now, what I was going to say about the rest of the trade is that Cam Smith looks like he's going to be a star for Houston. Hayden Wesneski has pitched well for the Astros as well. And you guys talked about Paredes. So it looks like one of those deals that's really good for both. But yes, Tucker has been that important an addition. And it kind of shows you guys how one player, you can't value him for his statistics alone. You have to value him for what he brings to a lineup and how he can transform a lineup. And that's what Tucker has done. It's been kind of a multiplier with what he has accomplished so far in that it's extended to the rest of the team.
Ken, Kris Bryant went on the IL with degenerative disc degeneration. I forget what the triple D, what was it? Degenerative disc. I don't forget what the third D was, but is this career threatening for him? I know since he's gone to Colorado, he hasn't been what we thought he was going to be for his career, but is this something that could possibly be career threatening for Kris Bryant?
And it's disease, Ken. Sorry, just to throw in. So degenerative disc disease in his lower back. Go ahead.
When I saw that, that was my initial thought. Wow, that sounds really bad. But reading the accounts this morning from the Rockies beat writers, it sounds like the Rockies expect him back in relatively short order, that this is something he has dealt with. He's had back issues for a while. My understanding is it's multiple discs. And certainly, as you guys know, I don't have to tell you, playing in that condition is really difficult. But it does not sound, to answer your question, AJ, like it's career threatening. Obviously, it's debilitating to him. It's tough on him, I'm sure, mentally as well as physically. But again, from what I read this morning, it did not sound like it's career threatening.
That's great news. That's awesome news. So for anybody, you never want to hear an end of that. All right, last thing, because I don't know if you discussed this on Fair or not, or I don't know when we're going to have you on, or I'm going to get to talk to you again. But I want to know, did you see the Juan Soto quotes that came out today in the New York Post about and everywhere about, man, it's different when I don't have the best guy hitting behind me? Thoughts on this? And does this make you happy as a Met fan after you sign him to a $765 million contract?
I did see the quotes. I understand why people might be upset to read that. In my view, he was speaking matter-of-factly. He was just saying, I'm getting pitched differently. I don't have that guy, Aaron Judge, behind me anymore, even though he's got the best hitter in the game right now, Pete Alonso, hitting behind him. He was just noting that it's different for him. I didn't take it as complaining. I didn't take it as regrets. I just thought it was kind of a matter-of-fact statement. And it's true. He is getting pitched differently. So I'm sure this will be quite the topic of discussion in New York. I'm not so sure that it should be.
Oh, yeah. This is great radio
Way to kill
fodder.
the lead, Ken. Way to kill the lead
This
on New
is
York radio.
such
Seriously.
radio
AJ, what do
fodder.
you think? Do you think this was a big deal?
I just think it's interesting that he says this.
If you're Pete, tell us the player perspective.
Listen, if I'm Pete, I know I'm not Aaron Judge, but I'm just like, hey, dude, you just signed the biggest contract of all time. You're supposed to be that guy. Juan Soto, you're supposed to be the best hitter in baseball. You just signed the biggest contract of all time. Like, why should it matter who's hitting in front of you, behind you? You think Barry Bonds cared? Only thing that mattered for Barry Bonds was he got pitched differently with the guy behind him. But he always said the guy in front of him was more important because if there was a guy on first, they wouldn't walk him.
One other thing here, AJ, as a reporter, we always want players to be transparent and honest and talk about what they're feeling. And then at times, this kind of thing happens and we crush them for being what we asked them to be. I never think that's entirely fair. And I certainly understand why people might think he should have kept that to himself. In fact, John Heyman wrote that in the New York Post. It's fine to think what he's thinking, but he should have kept it to himself. I agree, but I also don't think reporters should ever be telling players, don't talk. So here's a guy who talked, who was honest, or at least in his view, he was honest. And it seems to me it would be a little unfair to crush him for that.
Yeah. No, I'm not crushing him. I love the honesty from players. I'm not crushing him at all. I'm just thinking, he asked me
I know you're not.
What I was thinking,
I know
if I was Pete Alonso, I'm like, dude, you just signed you for $765 million. That's supposed to be you, dude.
If I'm Pete Alonso, I'm raising my eyebrows, put it that way. But at the same time, they're performing really well for the most part. He's doing fine. He's not doing like amazing, but he's fine. His on base is 400. So to me, this is a much ado about nothing for the most part.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.